Welcome to this week's edition of Schmoedown Night in Canada. Now, if you're wondering why, hey, Louie looks a little different, well, it's because I'm not Louie, I'm actually Soda. Which means I'm hosting this week, and you know what happens when I'm hosting? Our extraordinary producer, Dave, comes out of his cave. Dave, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, even better now that I've realized Cave and Dave rhyme. So it's
I'll
a
be damned.
fun play on words where I live.
Yeah, so we can call your little production hub the Dave Cave.
The Dave Cave, and Dave has come out of his cave to talk some Schmoedown with Soda.
Yeah. And you
I'm
know what?
excited. This was a good week.
This was a very good week. Like, there was not a disappointing match in the bunch, to be honest. And we're going to start it off with the live Twitch stream Star Wars match between Molly Damon and Andrew DiMolanta. Now, who did you have going into this? I had Molly Damon.
I had Dame Malanta. I think it was hard for me not to have Dame Malanta after that incredible perfect
Yeah.
game that he had. But I think I said it last week on the show. Molly Damon proved me wrong in her first match, so it was up in the air for me.
Yeah, I had, like I said, I had Molly Damon going in, but also after DiMolanta's last match, it kind of wavered it a little bit because I mean he was a potential threat, and he pulled out the win.
Yeah, and that's an exciting thing, especially for Dame Malanta here, going from the start of this tournament as a 0-2 player to now
Mhm.
he's 2-2. Is like we're gonna talk about the match itself, but this is a very Mike Kalinowski esque performance in the
Yeah.
first Intergeekdom tournament.
Yeah, no, he's definitely on a roll, and it's an impressive roll. And I saw him appear on Ben Goddard's stream after the fact, and you could tell he's all in, and he's pumped, and he was really excited that he won. Like, he's all in for this tournament.
Yeah, and that's the exciting thing. I think it's fun having those triple threat players like your Kalinowskis or your Cushings or your Goddards or your Zippers. But I think there's something very fascinating about watching someone who is hyper specialized like Dave Malanta. Because I don't think like Dave Malanta has never expressed interest in playing in any other league. It's just Star Wars, Star Wars,
Yeah.
Star Wars. And there's a fire about him that I love.
Yeah, he definitely has that chip in his shoulder, and it's because of that 0-2 record he had going into it. Is like you know the knowledge is there. Now he's just got to prove that he's good, and he is definitely proving that. So yeah, what did you think of the match overall? I know we had a little bit of controversy there in the second round, but
I
or the
was
first round,
really
sorry.
uh was it the first round? I thought it was the
Yeah.
second round.
Well, let's just go into that right away. Or no, sorry, I'm wrong match. There was multiple challenges again. Sorry, dude, guys. It's almost 8 o'clock in the morning here. I'm still chugging my coffee. My brain's a little mushed. Yeah, I'm confusing challenges. I'm sorry.
That's a that is okay. But
Yeah.
I believe you're referring to the Tidarium of it all.
Yes.
Or
Yeah, there was that one. There was also wasn't this one with the absolutes?
well, yeah, but that wasn't challenged.
No, that one
That
was not challenged. No.
no, that was just something people are pointing at out in the
Yeah.
Facebook group, reminding me why I could never be a Schmoedown competitor because my spelling is atrocious.
Yeah, and yeah, that Tidarium one, yeah, it was literally just a vowel, and I think a lot of people were suffering from the Mandela effect after that because people were saying, "Oh, I definitely heard him say the sound." No, he didn't. He said Tidarian.
Yeah, and that it's very interesting. And there is obviously when challenges like this come up, I think back to historical precedent, if
Yeah,
you will. And I think Christian put it best with another Star Wars question that came up in we were just talking about it, a Mike Kalinowski match with Ninka versus Ninko
yeah,
of it all. So I think this was a very fair challenge. I agree with what Dagnito said on the mic afterwards, saying he should have been allowed to like write it down because I don't think there's any issue with that. I think he probably just needed to use a repeat and then spell it out.
But yeah, this one mostly just came down to semantics, and you know what? In the end, it didn't really matter. He ended up winning the match anyways. But yeah, it's definitely, we have had precedent before, and I did. It's one of those things like, yes, this is a sport, and everyone's arguing about consistency. But you know what? If you really think about it, there is no such thing as consistent refereeing in any sport.
There's not, and
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you could have your rules fine and dandy, but it's what happens in the moment that counts.
Yeah. Now we're seeing though just a incredible run from Damon Lonta, and Molly Damon also performed very well in this match. Only missing one question in the first round, picking up that Tidarian steal as well. She's a player who really has impressed me. But Damon Lonta, he's going to take the win because after that steal in the second round, he goes perfect in his next 4 questions.
Yeah,
he picks up a 1-point steal from Molly Damon. Is this momentum something that he can carry all the way through?
Very easily. Like, it's pretty much a given that it's going to be Laura Kelly who's going to win her match. And so with the way Damon Lonta's playing, like, expect sudden death, expect it to go the distance in the next match. It's just like, I had Laura Kelly winning this whole thing, but now it's turning into a pick'em.
It is really interesting, and I believe it was on Backstage this week where they talked about how weird is it going into this tournament that both Joseph Scrimshaw and Ken Knapsack eliminated in the first round. So we're really seeing this younger crop of players, even though none of them, with the exception of Ace, who are still in the tournament, are rookies, really coming to a head.
Yeah, it is very interesting, but that's just the way it goes, man. The old guard is becoming a thing of the past.
Now, also, big story here, Andrew Damon Lonta, member of the Finstock Exchange. A lot of us, I think, expected these Star Wars tournament and Intergeekdom tournament to be a chance for the other factions to catch up. But that's just not the case. Nope. Thanks to Damon Lonta. They are stepping on the tiger's neck and pressing down, to quote Dom Toretto.
Yeah, exactly, because these tournaments, you're not seeing the big guns. And so, Damon Lonta is definitely earning his team some points, and he's going to keep earning them some more. And that's the beauty about, it's a shitty situation what we're in right now, but at least now we're getting the opportunity to actually see these new people perform and what they can do, and it poses a really bright future for the Schmoedown.
Oh, I think so too. And I think that, if anything, next season, when hopefully there's a little, we're all hopeful, we're all living day by day. Hopefully at some point we can get back into, I think this Star Wars tournament has shown that we need more frequent Star Wars matches, because this has been some of the best. I don't know if it's the fact that we were kind of Schmoedown deprived there for a little bit, only getting the one match, but this Star Wars tournament, it's just like, it's just what the doctor ordered.
Well, yeah, this is like you alluded to it earlier, that first IG tournament. It's really opening people's eyes. Now, the problem here is because there is so few movies and it is so very, very niche. Yeah, it would be fun to see more matches, but it's just like, can you actually feasibly do more matches without bringing in the TV shows and stuff like that?
That's true. And I've always been, despite being a guy who I've watched all of Clone Wars multiple times, I've watched all of Rebels.
Rebels is amazing.
Rebels is fantastic. Still haven't given Resistance a chance, but I don't think you can bring that stuff in. It's not. I think it's a different beast when you start bringing that stuff in, and then it becomes, well, this happened here, but is that, like, everything's canon, but some things still contradict. So what does the answer become?
Yeah, and that's how you get that mostly with Clone Wars and the prequel saga, right?
Yeah.
So it also sets the precedent. Well, then why can't we have other TV matches? So it's just like, it's a very tough line to cross.
It really is, but it's exciting. And you know what, though? I've noticed more and more Clone Wars animated questions creeping their way in. I wouldn't be surprised though if that is the silver bullet that bites somebody at some point.
Yeah.
Because even though, sorry, go ahead.
No, you finish your thoughts. Sorry.
No, even though backstage this week, Dave Malanta said, last month I've watched the Clone Wars movie maybe 8 times, playing with my daughter, and then my wife comes in, turns on Clone Wars, says it's for your own good.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. The only TV show I could actually legitimately see making its way in is The Mandalorian. That's the only one.
Yeah, but the problem with including The Mandalorian is then it becomes well, why aren't we including the other ones?
Yeah.
And so I think it has to be an all or nothing situation.
Nope, fair enough. Maybe Bibbs might finally get his wish, and we'll see the Ewok movies or something.
You know what? Guilty pleasure. I'm a fan.
I've never actually seen them.
Treat yourself. We're about to move on from the Star Wars match, but last thing I want to say on it, Soda, is treat yourself. Also, been standing this whole time. It's a weird thing. Don't know how Bibbs did free for all standing. It's so weird.
No kidding, eh? Like I'm a guy that I stand at my work all the time, so I guess I'm used to it. But yeah, it is very weird doing a recording while standing.
Yeah. All right. So you ready? Any last thoughts on this match?
No. The very, very competitive match, and I'm hoping all of the rest of the Star Wars matches are going to be like this. Yeah, that's my final thoughts on that.
All right. Moving right along then.
Yep. Moving right along from the Muppets. Yeah, so now we're into the first IG match, which was Emily the Rose Jacobson versus Eric the Z-Man Zipper.
This was a match with a lot of history, not only between the players, because apparently Emily Rose didn't remember who Eric Zipper was, which I found hilarious.
That was petty, but anyways.
But also, both people who have appeared on Schmoes of the North. So that was exciting for us.
Yeah, and it was almost like a little civil war because I'm a fan of Evelyn the Rose Jacobson. That was my only solo interview, and then we had Dave with his only solo interview with his best friend Eric Zipper.
And you know what? I'm going to say it. Last week, what did I say? I said Eric Zipper was going to lose. I lied. I knew Eric Zipper would win the whole time. I just didn't want to put it into the universe.
You bastard puppet master. So what did you think of the match?
I was really impressed by Eric Zipper, because I'd gone back and before this week, I went back and I watched Zipper's 2 other Inner Geekdom matches, 3 Inner Geekdom matches, and I rewatched the 4-way that Chance was in, just because they were people who were making the return to this division.
Yeah.
So I was like, what are we looking at? And the Zipper who played in those Inner Geekdom matches and the Zipper who's playing now, night and day.
Yeah.
Night and day.
And you saw that the most in round number 2, because Emily used a strategy when Zipper rolled the opponent's choice. She went with what was his weaknesses in those prior matches, which was Middle Earth, and that really backfired in her face in a big way.
And I gotta say, Emily Rose should never be allowed to be given spinners or opponent's choice.
Yeah, her last 2 matches in Inner Geekdom, she's put in the exact same position. She gets spinner's choice, and the other guy gets opponent's choice. And not both times it didn't work out for her.
I did love, though, that she called it winner's choice when she got spinner's choice.
Yeah.
I'm like, that was fun. That's fun. But it's cursed, apparently. She can't have nice things.
Yeah, pretty much. And you know what? My heart broke for her, because she said in the past, like, she wants to be the IG champion. You could tell the hunger's there. It's just, unfortunately, man, bad luck. That's all it comes down to.
It really is. And also, I think there's a lot of things where she's close, but she's missing those, like, those first level some of those first level questions, like the who played Steel, And I think it's just those things that when you're going to study, you don't study, well, who was Batman in 1989. It's like, oh, well, obviously it was Michael Keaton. But then it comes up and you're like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah,
So I think she
oh,
needs to change up her studying tactics a little bit if she wants to be competitive going into next season.
yeah, maybe because that seems to be a problem I've seen in a few competitors where they study so much on like the finer details they forget the easier things. That's kind of what happened with Knapsack last week. Like because he's so immersed in Star Wars, he knew the deep cuts, but the simple stuff he forgot or he couldn't pull.
I think that's very interesting. A very interesting point where they definitely. I think Knapsack is a great person to compare Emily Rose to because they had the exact same issues. Exactly what you're saying. I had never thought of that comparison before.
Yeah.
This is why you're on the show every week, and I'm just a producer, Soda.
I'm mostly pulling this out of my ass.
But let's not get away though from Eric Zipper here.
Oh no, of course.
The confidence at which he was answering his Middle Earth question was, I don't want to say staggering, but it was very surprising given what we had seen in the past, to the point where he's asking, well, what do you want? What do you want? There's two different answers I can give you. What do you want?
Yeah, and it just shows like just how deep his skills are. And you know what? Being part of corruption is probably the best thing that could have happened for him. Easily.
He's a part of the dungeon. I think he would take a lot of offense saying.
Again, early in the morning, coffee hasn't kicked in.
I'm just
he
saying.
Was part of corruption. Sorry.
I don't want to get all historian on you. He was a fake part of corruption. He's been dungeon strong for life.
It's fair. Yeah, still part of corruption. But yeah, no, definitely it was the best thing that could happen for him. You definitely saw the switch flip when he joined them. And yeah, as he said in the post interview, like he's always loved Lord of the Rings and that Middle Earth genre. It's just he had a hard time remembering things, and you know what? That showed that maybe he's starting to remember.
Yeah, and I think both competitors actually. I think the strategy at which they're playing from their first match earlier in the season to now, because both of them have played already, I think the strategy has really improved. Where Emily Rose, I think, is using multiple choice and she's using her repeats in more opportune times, as opposed to how she maybe performed in Atlanta. I think despite the score not showing it, she has such an improvement from her last game to this.
Yeah, she's definitely, her strategy game is improved, and with Zipper, it's his confidence that's improved.
Yeah, that's a good way of pointing it. Even taking shots at potentially his next opponent, which would be Kalinowski.
Yeah.
Assuming that my prophecy from last week, where the real rejects somehow run the Inner Geekdom tournament, doesn't come true.
God, could you freaking imagine?
Apparently, I could last week, and I don't know what that was about.
Yes, it was some of that weird Ontario air.
It happens. But the dungeon also, big story here is the dungeon finally getting something under their belt here. They had their win with Robert Parker, but that had been it for them for the season so far.
Yeah, which is weird.
It is, like, everyone was talking about how Kaiser was how well Kaiser was gonna perform, given the fact that he had drafted so heavily in Inner Geekdom and Star Wars. But we all expect everyone that was throwing... There was a moment where everyone he was throwing out was coming back with an L. And I think now, though, COVID may have been the best thing to happen to the dungeon, because it's given all of them a chance to study. Kaiser saying, I'm on Zoom calls watching these movies with them. Kaiser's a guy who's famously said, I don't like these movies, but I don't need to like them to study them. If he's watching them, what do you think the rest of the dungeon's doing?
Yeah, no kidding. And it's almost like he's a time traveler. Like, he drafted knowing, like, these tournaments were going to happen.
Soda, are you putting into the universe right now, Kaiser caused COVID? Are you saying that?
I'm not saying he caused COVID. I'm saying if anybody could have the technology to go forward in time to scope out, the landscape, it would be Kaiser.
Yeah, and getting that TKO for the dungeon and Kaiser, I think, so important. But
Yeah,
before we move on to the final match this week, I loved the first cut cut scene from the beginning with Kaiser and Zipper talking about Kaiser's bouncing all around his apartment. He's got the pig going on. I've missed some of that kayfabe stuff
yeah,
online. I loved this.
yeah. And Kaiser is I'd say the best at blurring that line. Like you never like I. This is the vibe I got from when we talked to him. It's just like he is the Kaiser character. You know what I mean? So I could actually see him legitimately doing something like that in real life.
Yeah, I it impressed me so much, just and made me smile so much when they were doing that.
Oh yeah, yeah. It definitely brought out. It definitely showed you just how amazing Kaiser is at the promo.
And also just them together. I think a lot of us had always looked at Eric Zipper as like the guy who's also in the dungeon.
Yeah,
I think the two of them have found such a beautiful rhythm together.
yeah. It's almost like everyone. Mark and Draco and Schneider are the odd couple. It's almost like these guys are another odd couple that nobody saw where they worked. And
Yeah,
yeah, it's paying off.
it really is in spades. You got anything to say on this match before we move on to the final?
No, other than it's a very good showing by Zipper. I'm looking forward to seeing how well he does in the rest of the tournament. Again, broken heart for Emily. I do hope we continue to see her. She's a bright spot for the league. She's definitely like I'd say like in the next coming of Rachel Cushing in terms of the personality and like what she could bring to the league. I just hope that she finally finds that missing piece that will be able to propel her into the next level.
Mm-hmm. Also, those MCU questions that she got really tough. Those were some
Yeah,
tough questions. Um, and also, anyone who's watching this, don't be a jerk to the women who are playing in this game.
yeah. I want
We've
to.
been seeing a lot of that. Let's stop. Let's just stop.
Yeah,
Let's all be good to each other.
I don't normally go into things like that, but you know what, man, guys, stop being dicks. Like everyone's gonna screw up. These people are they're not trained to handle the criticism that a lot of people are throwing at them, and yeah, the minorities and the women are getting the brunt of it. And you know what? Those who can't do troll. So why don't you just freaking stop it, okay?
I think that's the second week in a row you've used that analogy, and I love it.
That's really what it comes down to. It's just a lot of people that go online and complain and bitch about things like that. They can't do it. Like I guarantee you they would probably shit their pants if they either ran into these people in real life or themselves were under the lights and camera. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that's a beautiful place to end it. Ready to move on to the last match?
Yeah, for sure.
All
This
right.
was the main event of the week, and I always love how they seem to schedule like the big matches for the last match of the week. It's perfect.
I'll say this also. I'm usually not a guy because I've seen everything going forward. I'm usually not the biggest fan of like the little promo packages at the beginning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's something I like, and I think Nerd Chronic does an amazing job. But just
Yeah.
because I've been watching since the beginning, I'm like, well, I know all this already. But oh my god, the promo package for Ellison v. Oyama got me so fired up. It got me
Yeah.
so fired up.
Yeah, it's man, these guys have such a rich history and like they're the Austin Rock of the Schmoedown. Like they started around the same time. Their careers are always going to be intertwined, and what have you. And yeah, this video package was bonkers. It reminded me of the Austin Rock WrestleMania 17 package, which I consider to be one of the best video packages to hype a match I've ever seen.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, Dirt Chronic did a banger job on this one.
Just I don't know that we've ever talked about the promos on Schmoedown Night in Canada before. I just really, as soon as I saw that, I was like, I gotta shout that out
Yeah,
because that was amazing. I loved it.
yeah. The only one that I could say that actually no, the only one that I would say would surpass it was the Shire Wolves one for their fight farewell match. That's the only
Ah,
video package that I think surpasses this.
that one's got like I love that one. That's just got
Mhm.
such a leg up though,
Yeah.
just because it has an easy road into your heart, right?
Oh, for sure.
But let's talk about the match.
Yeah.
Big moment here. We were talking a little bit before the show, saying, well, this went pretty much the way we anticipated, but the level of performance, double perfect rounds
Yeah.
in inner geekdom play, never been done before. Never been
Really?
done before. No, because I think anytime I was looking back, and someone can fact check me if I'm wrong, but with the exception of when they did the old five-way turn style, where it's kind of like lowest score gets eliminated,
Yeah.
nobody has ever gone. We've never had 11-11 after the first round.
Wow. That's impressive.
And that's coming from two people, Chance Ellison, losing record in the Inner Geekdom, cursed in tournament season, has never made it out of the first round, mostly because only plays champions.
Yeah.
And Oyama, brand new to Inner Geekdom.
Yeah, and you know what? He played really well for brand new to Inner Geekdom. Just showed the guy is a triple threat player. That's another one.
It was so infuriating hearing him say, "Yeah, there's just something I thought I'd dabble in. I wasn't like this is not what I'm being serious." I'm like, "What are you talking about? How can you not be this had not been your main concern?" It's like, "Oh yeah, I was doing this before I get back into singles and teams,"
Yeah.
and it's just like, "You're
The
so good, it's not fair."
the old prime time kind of came out there a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, your thoughts on the match overall? Like this was toe to toe, like boom, boom, boom. Great, great, great fight.
it was. And also, I want to bring up something we don't often dissect the matches as much as sometimes we used to. But I really want to dig down and talk about the round two categories that were chosen:
Okay.
Middle Earth and Star Wars, given with opponent's choice.
Yeah, which was a smart strategy on Chance's part.
It really was because it seems like Oyama know knows so much about other things, but maybe Star Wars just wasn't something he was as invested in.
Hmm.
When you see what color is the bolt that is fired when the blasters are set to stun.
Yeah, and that's a detriment, I think, to the IG League because now we're at a point where the Star Wars questions are becoming so dense that you really need to pay attention to that, and it kind of takes away from the studying of the other matches. So it's like it brings back the old argument: like, should Star Wars be part of Inner Geekdom still?
I think
It should.
yeah.
It should.
What I more am looking at here is there are three categories I think in Inner Geekdom that we are seeing getting played in almost every match, and that's MCU,
Hmm.
Star Wars, and Middle Earth.
Yeah, and you could throw Harry Potter in there. It's not
Yes.
as much, but that it would be the fourth one.
Now, what I really want to dig down on is Chance pretty much goes for. I believe he went to multiple choice once
Yeah.
in his round two. Oyama not able to connect on a perfect level, and Chance is able to get some steals, which is huge. But when we look at some of the people who are favored in this tournament, where you look at like a Parker or a Kalinowski, MCU and Middle Earth are really some high caliber strengths for them. Is the fact that Middle Earth is being given out as opponent's choice so often, is that going to be a detriment to Parker going forward, do you think?
Um, Yes, because the Middle Earth seems to be a favored film series for a lot of these IG champions. So that's definitely one that's being studied a lot. So yeah, giving out Middle Earth now, I don't think is a good strategy as it would have been like say 2 years ago.
Yeah, I really think Middle Earth is becoming the new Star Trek. Where if you
Yeah,
remember back at the beginning of the Inner Geekdom run, the thing that sunk almost every competitor was they didn't know crap about Star Trek. But now I think you see like the Adam Halavic
hmm
getting Middle Earth and stuff doesn't know very much about it. You're seeing Middle Earth come up in a lot of round threes, and I really think if Middle Earth comes up again by the second round of this tournament, those questions are going to be so deep that I don't think Tolkien could or Peter Jackson could answer the questions.
yeah, and like everything's already hard to pronounce as it is. Could you imagine the deeper it gets? Dear Lord.
Yeah, which is something I've always thought about. Um, like it's just you almost have to speak a different language to be so good at inner geekdom, right?
Yeah, oh, 100%.
Now, moving on, getting back to the match here, Ellison ends up taking it, not a TKO, but he ends up taking the match in the third round and bringing home another win for corruption.
Yep.
Is this the turning point for corruption? Because a lot of people, us all included, had said Chance is going to lose to Oyama. It's really on Laura Kelly and Kalinowski to turn this thing around.
Yep.
But now with the Chance win, are we going to see corruption ride the wave? Maybe not to the top, but now that Swag is out of the Inner Geekdom tournament and the only chance is Ace in Star Wars, are we going to see maybe corruption go up there and surpass even the Den and Swag?
It is possible, because yeah, they've got two two really good players in Inner Geekdom in Mike Kalinowski and Chance Nelson. Like Chance was always a good player, but yeah, it always came down to bad luck against who he played against. But now he's finally got that win, and the sky's the limit for him from here. I don't think they're gonna. Based on how things have gone so far this year, I don't think they're going to be top three, but they'll definitely be top five if they
Well,
keep
yeah,
with the momentum.
that's true. I think so much is going to be riding on Ellison because off the top of my head, I don't remember who he's playing next. But
It's the
Kalinowski,
winner of Parker and Goddard because he said in the
oh,
thing he, as much as he would like to hand Goddard his first loss, he really wants to face Parker.
that's now with this though. If Chance has this win, if he beats Goddard or Parker, let's just say whoever it is, Chance is making a great play for comeback player of the year. He's already
Yep.
got his team a number one contender shot in teams. Obviously, he's
Mhm.
got to win an Inner Geekdom now. You got to imagine he's going to be in that singles tournament, play like Ben Bateman in the first round.
Yep, probably.
I think he's going to have a phenomenal rest of the season.
Yeah, yeah. The table is set. Let's just see what he does from now for with it from now on. Like, can he cook? Can he have that perfect 5 course meal, or will it just be overcooked turkey?
Overcooked turkey. I
Yeah,
don't know any other way to cook a turkey.
yeah, it's true. Crunchy turkey is actually pretty damn good. Give me a
It's
little
a
bit of salt
good
and
way.
pepper on it, and
Oh, chef's kiss right there.
yeah.
Um,
Okay,
so
so there was one thing that happened in round one that I want to touch on, and it was the Harley Quinn question.
okay.
Yeah, so the question was, what say? This is paraphrasing it, but what saying was on Harley Quinn's shirt in the movie The Suicide Squad? Now that is actually the key part of the question on her shirt. Now
Mm-hmm.
they both were given the points. One put Oyama put what was actually on her shirt, which was Daddy's Little Monster, LIL, the abbreviation.
Lil.
Lil, and Chance put little, and he still got the point. Now I don't think he should have gotten the point for that.
I totally agree with you,
Yeah.
especially given the precedent that has been set in other matches. in other matches. I think it's a matter of they're not confident. Both Mark and Christian are not inner geekdom players. I think
Yeah.
if you have someone like a Cushing on the desk there, I don't think Ellison gets the points. And I think if Winston challenges it, he probably gets
Yeah.
he probably correctly gets that challenge. But I think the reason you don't see a challenge there is Oyama. Because you see Oyama after Chances said that's correct to Daddy's little monster. He shows little and is like, oh, I don't know. Can you give that to me? Despite having the more correct answer, I think you don't challenge in that situation unless you know, because you're more afraid of Oyama losing the points.
Yeah, and like there is, like I argued this on SCN Afterlife, like there is precedent about the spelling of things, but in this case, it's totally different because the question had the words on her shirt. Now, if it was something that was just spoken audibly in the movie, yeah, both answers could count because one's just an abbreviation. But this is literally something you see physically on her screen. That's why I definitely don't think it should have counted for chance.
I agree, but seeing double perfect rounds, I think it's worth a little.
Yeah,
that's
for
exciting
sure.
stuff.
For sure, the good definitely outweighed it, but that is just one of those things. Like it comes down to semantics or what have you. Like it's like if you were to use the and abbreviation for something that was you physically see on the screen, like would that count too, or you know what I mean?
That's an interesting thing that I don't know that we have the capability of fully dissecting.
Yeah,
but that's an interesting point that you bring up. I'm glad though that it wouldn't have mattered. That in the end, Chance has enough points that 1 point, no, 2 points, because then he wouldn't have got the bonus. That those 2 points end up not really mattering because he has such a dominant second round.
Yeah,
and Oyama kind of stumbles through Star Wars. And I'm glad that we've had a lot of these questionable calls. We're not questionable calls, but we've had a lot of moments like this going back to absolutes and absolute.
Yeah.
But I'm glad none of them have been, well, if that had happened, other person would have won.
Yeah, it really, if it came down to that particular point for that question being the deciding factor, like if it was a difference of 1 point or what have you, I could definitely see it being a bigger deal. But it's just something that, that stuck out for me. It's just like, now can we use abbreviations for everything,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. But I think we got to move on. So before we go, big news this week in the Schmoedown world. Teams tournament apparently going to be happening.
Yeah, and was it this morning or was it was yesterday? As we're recording this on Sunday, so it would have been Saturday. Harloff sent out the word that he thinks he found a way to actually viably do this tournament.
Yeah, and that's interesting. I wonder. I'm not going to start theorizing about how they're going to be doing it. I think what's more interesting is who are the teams that you're excited to see? And are there any new teams? Because before all this started happening, we had heard of some potential new teams that we haven't seen yet. So who are you excited to see?
Well, I'm excited to see Shazam back because we haven't really seen them outside of that triple threat match at the beginning of the year. And the quirky mercs definitely need the points. I'm also interested to see who's going to be the usual suspects representative. Will it be Guy and Erwin, or will it be the return of the Time Machine? That's really what I'm most excited for.
Yeah, it's weird because I actually am most excited, even though I'm going to be very happy to see Shazam back on my screen. I'm going to be very happy to even the Odd Couple. I'm going to be happy to see them back on the screen. But it's these potentially new teams, because teams is always Final Exam is another one that I'm excited to see back. They only had that one match, but it's these teams that we've heard whispers about potentially being there, like Adam Witt and Eric Zipper. I'm excited to see. With Sabrina getting drafted by the Exchange, I'm excited to hear for her potential pairing with the Barbarian. See what that can look like. It's the teams tournament is always the most exciting time of the year for me.
Yeah, I think I have a name for Sabrina and the Barbarian, Beauty and the Beasts, plural, because of Elvis.
I love that. We may get into slight gimmick infringement with Bibiani, but I'm sure the legal team can work it out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Anything else you want to talk about, Soda?
No, nothing much. I'm just looking forward to the next series of matches. I'm definitely looking forward to Parker and Goddard, which I think is next week, or is it the week after?
That is next week.
Okay, that's the match I'm definitely looking forward to because you have the top two contenders right now for Rookie of the Year. I still say Ben's got the advantage just because A, he's played more, B, he's playing in more leagues. Mm-hmm. But if Parker runs the gamut of this and pulls the Smets from last year, yeah, he's gonna win Rookie of the Year. I think that's gonna be the biggest match of this tournament is Parker Goddard, in my opinion.
You forget the Real Rejects final. That's gonna be a big match as well.
Yeah, that's an acid trip.
Don't count out the Barbarian for Rookie of the Year. You remember he's in this tournament, and if his team can have a good team, if he can get into a good team in the teams tournament,
yeah,
it'll really be a Barbarian Goddard match because for Rookie of the Year. But also, I believe Kalinowski and Alba is next week as well.
Yeah, that is true. That is also next week. That one has potential to probably being upset of the decade. If somehow Alba was able to put a horseshoe so far up his butt that he pulls that out.
that would be a huge upset. What? And then finally, the final match of next week, Kelly versus Ace. I think we're both leaning for that one.
Yeah, I got Laura Kelly, but you know what? Ace has kind of got me shaking in my boots a little bit there.
Ace is he's the person that none of us counted in at the beginning of the year. We're like, he'll probably lose to Josh Quevedo. He'll probably lose to Ken. And now we're saying it again. He'll probably lose to Laura Kelly, but man, could you imagine Ace running the table? Because it's been announced on SEN that the winner of this will play Alex Damon at Spectacular.
Yep.
So any one of the three players that are in right now, I think will make a fantastic match for them.
100%. Yeah.
Obviously, Laura Kelly's going to win.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, as much as, yeah, you're right. All three matches would be great for Spectacular, but there is just something about the rematch of Laura Kelly versus Alex Damon. Laura Kelly being the only one of the few to push Damon to the limit.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's all for us. Soda.
Yeah.
What do you got going on?
Okay, so I got a lot. So you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at soda_the_saxman. You can find me running the Media Sweaties Network Twitter page, and we might actually have something coming down the pike that may be pretty cool. That depends on how things go with that. You can find me, Lou, and our lesser seen but equally as important member of the Schmoes of the North, Dan, on this upcoming episode of SEN Afterlife. Unfortunately, Dave wasn't able to join us. Damn it. But you can find us pretty much. You can find us there on that episode. As usual, you can find me roaming around the Schmoes of the North Facebook page and sometimes on the Discords for some of the people who are involved in the Schmoedown. So that's where you can find me.
You can find me at Baby James Lees on Instagram, at Lees Me Alone on Twitter. And we forgot, Lou's not here for one episode, and we forget to tell you. Make sure you subscribe to Schmoes of the North. It takes 2 seconds to subscribe on YouTube. Come join our Facebook page. We're marching towards 200 members on Facebook, and we're marching towards 100 subscribers on YouTube. Yeah. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing?
Yeah, and don't forget, we are also on your favorite podcast app. Most of them are Louis' shows. I will actually be taking the helm for the Frenchie Watches for a little bit. And actually, I just appeared on an episode of the Frenchie Talks where we talked about fears and phobias and human behavior. And last week, an episode of the Frenchie Watches with Me on it dropped where we watched The Great Dictator, and we broke down just how even though for a movie that came out in 1941, it is still very it's the message is still very present 80 years later.
It's an incredible time to be live when you get all this amazing Schmoes of the North content. And with that, good night, everybody.
Salut.